Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died.
Was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's the man.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it. When she cleans it.
The real question isn't whether Michelle Obama is untouchable, it's how. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld managed to dismantle her carefully polished image without breaking so much as a rhetorical sweat. One moment, she's the nation's beloved book club icon. The next, she's ducking Rogan's unfiltered haymakers and Gutfeld's savagingers like it's dodgeball day at the White House gym. They didn't just poke holes in her legacy. They ripped it to confetti, wrapped it in sarcasm, and tossed it onto the national stage. What did they say that made Michelle go silent? Let's just say this one's messier than the kale catastrophe that was her infamous school lunch program.
Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as Like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, you know, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 mansions.
I mean, it's a bunch of rich people talking about...
At one point, Michelle Obama tried to pitch an entire generation on the idea that limp spinach and quinoa paste were somehow the future of food. A culinary rebellion, she claimed, led by soggy kale and lentils that tasted like despair. That wasn't nutrition. It was a Geneva Convention violation against flavor. Still, she marched out onto the national scene with salad tongs raised like she was leading a charge at Normandy, only armed with chickpeas instead of courage.
President dies, everyone in the world shows up, and she doesn't break her vacation? It's not like she doesn't have access to a jet. Something is going on. Let's speculate.
Yes, please.
It's either surgery.
Oh.
That was my least controversial thing.
Depends what kind of surgery.
She will not sit close to the dictator. And by that, I don't mean Hillary, I mean Donald Trump. Or there's trouble in paradise between Barack and Michelle. I've heard things. I'm not going to substantiate that by repeating these rumors on national TV like I just did. But I'm just saying it's very odd that she's not there.
Yeah.
Enter Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld, the rogue tag team no one ordered. But apparently the only 2 guys willing to say out loud what the rest of America's been whispering into their green smoothies. Michelle's brand, it's less legacy and more lifestyle influencer, a mix of Pinterest affirmations, Instagram yoga poses, and TED Talk moralizing disguised as post-presidential substance.
For the first woman
We already
president.
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay,
Let's clear something up right now. This isn't about bashing a former First Lady. It's about calling out the industrial strength sanctimony of someone who managed to turn drink more water into both a commandment and a character trait. You'd think she discovered hydrogen and oxygen. Meanwhile, the rest of us were stuck trying to stop our kids from trading government-approved celery sticks for black market Twinkies behind the school cafeteria.
Obama has openly admitted that she and Barack sleep in separate bedrooms. Here's how it works. She sleeps downstairs, and he likes men.
Greg Gutfeld, never one to pass up a juicy political buffet, nearly keeled over laughing at the irony. Michelle's crusade for health, clashing with dinner parties that looked like Whole Foods, was hit by a tornado. Organic, sure. Edible, questionable. There's only so much beet hummus you can smear on a biodegradable cracker before someone calls child services.
See everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons and
Then there's Joe Rogan, the man who built a podcast empire by delivering uppercuts to sacred cows. Naturally, Michelle Obama's airbrushed image made her the golden calf of progressive smugness. She flexes like she's auditioning for the next Marvel reboot, only to turn around and lecture America on the dangers of enjoying pizza. In Michelle's utopia, joy is a misdemeanor and pepperoni is a gateway crime. Rogan couldn't resist asking, what's the calorie count on self-righteousness? And her Netflix empire. Oh, we're getting into it. Nothing screams relatable like multi-million-dollar production deals and slow-motion shots of Michelle striding through adoring crowds like Moses parting the Red Sea of commoners. Gutfeld, ever the gleeful goblin of late night, tore through the illusion with precision. Every Michelle appearance isn't about the message, it's about the lighting. The speeches drip with Pinterest, prose, and motivational molasses, like Tony Robbins held a TED Talk in a Whole Foods parking lot. Inspiring, maybe, useful. Only if you plan to fix your life with inspirational stationery and a Fitbit.
American men suck.
Let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. To make these choices clear to the men that we love, our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment.
What's that pitter-patter sound I'm hearing in the background? It's the footsteps of Barack running to vote for Trump.
And who could forget the line that launched 1,000 bumper stickers? When they go low, we go high. Quite possibly the most polished passive-aggressive burn in political history. Translation, we're better than you, and we brought merch. Michelle has practically copyrighted moral superiority, sold it in hardcover, and translated the audiobook into 5 languages. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan was over here, squinting suspiciously at her transformation from lunchroom crusader to philosophical icon. He had questions like, how did we leap from anti-obesity campaigns to existential essays on finding our voice? Is there a map for that? Or do we just follow the scent of overpriced soy candles? Michelle's image is so thoroughly manufactured it makes Barbie look like cinema verite. The yoga poses, the ambient backlighting, the perfectly timed cackles. It's like watching a live-action vision board. She exists somewhere between live, laugh, love, and eat more kale. Always grinning with the serene menace of someone silently judging your grocery cart.
Someone put on Instagram, I believe, that Tim Dillon's video where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her cock out and China would just give up. I was fucking wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Greg Gutfeld had an absolute field day with Michelle's ascension from First Lady to CEO of Empty Slogans. He practically needed a chiropractor after shaking his head at her. LinkedIn-worthy empowerment quips, believe in yourself. Thanks, Michelle. Now do you accept rent and affirmations? Then there's the media's love affair with her fashion sense, a belt. Breaking news, a cardigan. Full op-ed, CNN once acted like she negotiated Middle East peace with a beige cashmere wrap. Gutfeld asked the obvious, when did Banana Republic become a political statement? And her memoir, oh, that glossy tome, stuffed with self-discovery and vague trauma, could double as a yoga mat. Every chapter reads like an Instagram caption, wrapped in inspiration and dipped in kale. Rogan allegedly had to rewatch Roadhouse and eat steak just to detox from the book's emotional gluten.
They know that they're having a hard time with men.
Right.
Doesn't seem like this is the right strategy.
No.
She basically says that they're hurting women by voting for Trump.
But I think they don't understand that where it comes from in the first place is that people are sick of being told how bad they are and talked down to, and you know, the condescension doesn't work. None of what they're doing really works. I mean, the Walls AOC live stream of them playing Madden together was supposed to be to get like dudes who like football on their side, and they did it during football.
Perhaps Michelle's greatest performance isn't a speech or a book. It's convincing America she's the underdog while living in palatial estates with garages that could host a car show. She speaks of struggle while sipping alkaline water in a kitchen larger than most apartments. Gutfeld distilled it perfectly. Her idea of adversity is a quinoa shortage at Whole Foods. And still, Michelle positions herself as the relatable first lady. Nothing says humble quite like bespoke chandeliers, curated dinner guests, and Navy SEAL bodyguards for your spin class. Just a mom, she says, with a media team crafting Instagram captions and a stylist who could moonlight at the Met Gala. Rogan likened her public persona to an episode of The View, but without commercial breaks or an off switch. Every soundbite is vacuum-sealed moralism, served lukewarm. It's not politics, it's tofu with a side of condescension. And the press, they treat Michelle like she's Gandhi with Beyoncé-esque glam squad. She could sneeze, and CNN would declare it a revolutionary act against patriarchal allergens. Rogan laughed at the idea of her teaching America about health, while the rest of us are still recovering from the PTSD of those mealy apple slices that tasted like wet styrofoam. You can't serve kids lentil loaf and then ask to be canonized. That's culinary
Continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men.
Let's be real. Michelle Obama's true superpower is saying absolutely nothing while appearing to say everything. Her speeches are word salads with a few croutons of meaning. Just enough to trick the audience into thinking they've eaten something of substance. Meanwhile, Rogan suspects the real feast is happening backstage, probably prepared by someone named Skylar in a vegan apron. Gutfeld tore apart the idea that Michelle is a unifying force. Her presence divides the room faster than pineapple. On pizza, she doesn't unite, she selectively uplifts, spotlighting only those who already live inside her ideological Whole Foods. And don't get him started on fitness. Michelle made planking a political act. Skip one lunge and suddenly you're the reason for the obesity epidemic, Gutfeld quipped. Somewhere, a donut weeps. Rogan added that Michelle's brand of motivation is so relentless, it's physically exhausting. She's like the walking embodiment of a forced book club you didn't ask to join. But now you're trapped, discussing kale metaphors while just trying to eat a cheeseburger in peace.
Even if they run Michelle. According to a new poll, Michelle Obama isn't as strong a Democratic candidate against former President Donald Trump as many Dems would have you believe. In a hypothetical matchup, my favorite kind. Trump wins with 47% of the vote compared to Michelle Obama's 44%. I guess some of the kids whose school lunches she ruined are finally old enough to vote. Remember that?
And, of course, she has a podcast. Because, of course, she does. It's less discussion, more gentle ego bath therapy for people who've never been told no. Every episode is a gentle drizzle of self-congratulation disguised as wisdom, where the main takeaway is always the same. Michelle is still more evolved than you. Rogan played clips and claimed he could hear his soul aging. Gutfeld didn't hold back, mocking the proposed Michelle Obama presidential library as a cross between Oprah, Mother Teresa, and Anne Ray catalog. It'll only stock her books, alongside affirmation stones and essential oils. The entrance likely requires a green juice and proof of recent spiritual growth. Michelle has achieved the impossible. She's everywhere and nowhere. Her presence is ambient, like background jazz at a farmer's market. You don't find her, she finds you. Rogan joked that if Michelle released a fragrance, it would reek of moral superiority, steamed broccoli, and a whisper of filtered sincerity. Gutfeld added it would come in a biodegradable globe-shaped bottle and only be sold to people who finish her 12-week fitness challenge, becoming but with burpees. And now the piece de resistance, the whispers, the rumors, the deliciously absurd idea that Michelle might run for president. Because, why not? After reshaping America's food pyramid, yoga routines, and emotional expectations, what's next? The White House. Apparently, Gutfeld nearly fell off his chair laughing. Nothing screams political outsider like 2 decades in the most powerful rooms on Earth.
None of what they're doing really works. I mean, the Walls AOC live stream of them playing Madden together was supposed to be to get like dudes who like football on their side, and they did it during football. Like, who's consulting them on this stuff?
Yeah. It's a
woman, probably, also.
It's a gay man.
So, what's the takeaway? Michelle Obama is the undisputed queen of curated struggle, the empress of buzzwords, and the first lady of filtered authenticity. Thanks to Rogan and Gutfeld, that polished exterior has been peeled back, not to reveal a villain, but a branding genius in yoga pants. The kind who scolds you for not loving spinach enough. And when the facade starts to crack, expect another book. Still becoming, The Journey to Journeying, featuring 300 pages of sunrises, kale confessions, and a low-calorie vinaigrette that tastes like guilt. Because, remember, when they go low, Michelle goes high, but she bill you $29.99 for the elevation. She didn't just rebrand herself, she franchised it. She's the Oprah of broccoli, the Dalai Lama of lunges, the guru of grit light. Every public appearance is sculpted with the precision of her famously praised biceps. And yet the contradictions remain, preaching simplicity while feasting like royalty, selling humility while being hailed like divinity, and calling for unity while cultivating curated division. Rogan nailed it. Michelle has mastered the art of sounding profound while saying very little. A TED Talk about clouds, and Gutfeld, he slammed the Michelle media machine as an echo chamber wrapped in a self-help book, tied with the Whole Foods. Riven, it's not discourse, it's deification. It's not authenticity, it's an empire of motivational merch. If branding were an Olympic sport, Michelle would win 5 golds, release a documentary about her struggle, and sell a vegan protein bar called Authenticity Bites. And still, no one dares ask, what exactly are we applauding?